Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Rob Phillips. So for today's class, we're going to be doing a 30-minute Yin Yoga sequence, which is designed around optimizing the Heart Meridian within our body, as well as being attuned to the fire element within the Chinese 5-element cycle. In terms of props, for all Yin Yoga classes, I generally recommend having a blanket available, but if you don't have one, no problem. You can use your mat or whatever you have lying around to pad your knees as might be needed. Once you're ready to get going here, let's find our way into a comfortable seat to get started. So as you do set up in your seat, certainly you consider finding a cross leg. You could do kneeling or any other comfortable position. Once you're in place here, we can rest the hands onto the knees or the thighs, lift up a little bit through the crown of the head, softening the shoulders, and then close the eyes here and begin to land. Begin to settle. So always in this Yin Yoga style, we cultivate a receptive state of mind. As we settle into the postures, we become more receptive within our bodies. And all of this is revolved around the idea of slowing down, tuning in to our yin quality or our yin type energy. So as we get started here, simply noticing how you're feeling within your body and within your mind in this moment. Opening up to that process just as it is, with no expectations, with nothing needed to be changed. Again and again throughout this sequence, we're going to find this sense of noticing, this sense of tuning into things just as they are. So with that idea in mind here, just take a few more moments, a few more slow breaths, really settling into this first pose and softening, letting go of any tightness, letting go of any gripping, really just being right here where you are. Let's take a final gentle inhale breath through our nose. Gentle exhale breath out our mouth. Lower the chin down and slowly open your eyes. From here, first pose for our main sequence will be a wide-kneed child's pose. So as you set up, if you do have a blanket available, I'm going to recommend opening it up a little wide just to pad your knees. If you don't have a blanket, this is a pose you could certainly consider turning sideways on your mat just so you can get some cushion underneath the knees themselves. And then as you set up here, we take the knees comfortably wide, so wide enough that we feel a bit of release on the inner thighs, not so wide that there's any intensity to that sensation. From there, you will walk your torso forwards, close your eyes, and let yourself settle here. So as we settle into this first pose, and really through every subsequent pose, just remembering basic principles of this Yin Yoga style. Always listening to our body, never forcing the body in an aggressive way, never working through any sharp or painful sensation or anything like that. If any pose creates pain, you're going to want to back out and adjust in some way. You're also welcome to leave any pose early if you feel like it's not working well for you. Again, we never want to harm the body. That's our number one priority. With that said, you will feel something happening in these poses. You'll notice a push or pull on the tissues. You'll feel things release and unwind. And so noticing what you feel here and relaxing. Letting gravity take you, finding that receptive quality within the body, just as we cultivated a receptive quality of awareness during our opening meditation. As we let go more and more, that creates a sense of space within the body, and as the body relaxes, we might also find a sense of space or a sense of calm within our minds. So here now, for just about another minute or so, I invite you to ask, what can you let go of? What are you holding on to that you might not need? Notice the response through both the body and the mind as you let go. Feel that wave of calm and space wash over you. Here you'll take just one more complete breath. Slowly now, to come out, you can begin to extend yourself all the way forwards onto the belly. You're actually welcome to leave your blanket set up because we're going to use it for a second pose if that is what you're using. Obviously, if you turn sideways on your mat, it might make sense just to come forwards here so you have a bit of cushion. But settle into this neutral pose, this resonance pose, just giving the hips a little break, giving the body a chance to reset. Notice here what that feels like and tune in and observe. Find a sense of connection with it. And take a gentle inhale breath through the nose. A gentle exhale breath out your mouth. From here, gently pressing yourself up. And we're going to come back into that same wide-kneed child's pose, but this time we're going to build a twist onto it. So given that it's your second time here, certainly feel free to use a slightly different setup. Feel free to change the alignment a little bit if that calls to you. But otherwise, we'll start out the same way. So knees come nice and wide here, but this time, you're going to, as you come forwards, you're going to take your left arm underneath, threading into your twist. Resting on your left side shoulder and feeling a bit of wringing out. Now you're welcome to stay just like this, or consider taking your right arm around your back. You can hook into a gentle half bind if that feels good. Heart meridian points, many of them run through the shoulders, through the chest and the upper body. So these type of upper body twists where we really settle give us an opportunity to target them a bit more. As you hold, everything I said in the first pose applies here. Make sure there's no pain. Make sure the level of sensation is sustainable. And then relax into it. Notice if there's anything you're holding on to that you might be able to release, any sense of gripping or control. Feel that here on this side for just a few more moments. Take a final complete breath right here. Carefully unravel the arms. Draw yourself briefly into the middle. Now, if you need to do a little more reset or anything like that, you're welcome to. If you're feeling okay, then we're going to go right into the second side. So take your right arm underneath. Rest on that cheek, rest on that shoulder. Again, as with the first side, the left arm could stay reaching forwards. Or maybe hook it around your back into an easy half bind or something like a half bind if that feels good. Now that we're here, again, let the weight Rest onto that outer right arm, targeting the shoulders, targeting the upper back. As well, of course, here, we're targeting the hips, inner thighs, through that child's pose position. Whatever is arising, can you meet that experience? Can you notice and observe it just as it is? Any sense of striving, any sense of strong willpower, can we let that go? Really feeling receptive here, moment by moment, through both body and mind. Take one more complete breath where you are. Carefully, gradually unwind. Release yourself into the middle. And again, come all the way forwards onto your belly. You can get rid of the blanket at this point. We don't really need it for this next pose. Only exception would be if you want to like pad your hips on the belly. If that feels more comfortable, you're welcome to do that. On your belly, finding any comfortable position, letting the legs relax, feeling the chest and the shoulders settle here. Taking a few deep breaths and just knowing that these transition poses, these pauses, are just as much a part of the practice as the main poses. We need time to bounce back after those longer holds. If you find it helpful, maybe taking an inhale through your nose and an exhale out your mouth. Here we're going to stay on our belly and rise up onto the forearms, coming into any of the various variations of Sphinx. And I'll give you a few that you might consider. So right now I'm kind of in like baseline Sphinx. Arms are about shoulders width apart, relaxing the chest down a little bit. You're welcome to relax the chest a lot, relax the neck a lot. You're also welcome to draw the shoulders back and lift up if you prefer. Some practitioners like prayer hands, which might let you take the elbows closer together. Or even farther than that, you might consider pressing the arms straight, rising up into a seal shape. So lots of options at your disposal here, and just knowing that the intention will be to target the lower back, maybe target the shoulders some, but as I've said through every pose, but really especially here, should be no strong or sharp sensation, especially in your spine. If we can honestly say, yes, that's the case, again, settle into your pose. Back bends tend to be stimulating. They stir up some energy for things. Each time that you let go, each time that you notice the earth beneath you, that can help to settle that energy. Can help to keep it from becoming too much. Noticing what arises through each breath, through each moment. really meeting each of those moments with no expectations. No need for things to be anything other than what they already are. What are you holding on to that you might be able to surrender? What could you release so that you then feel more calm, feel more spacious in this moment? Feel that here for just a few more breaths. One more complete breath right here. Exhale, slowly lower down all the way to the floor. As you land there, rest for a few moments. Be still and calm for a few moments. Let the body have that opportunity to integrate all that you've just done. Especially through the spine, especially through the shoulders, feel that sense of afterglow, feel that sense of integration. From here, you use your hands and press the hips back. More of a close-kneed child's pose, just to kind of release the lower back. Note how that kind of unwinds. It's the opposite of what we just did in that Sphinx shape. Breathe deeply into that for a few seconds. From here, you can find your way up, and we'll set up for where we're going to go next, which is going to be our pigeon pose, deep outer hip opener. We'll start with our left leg. Now, for my body, I'm a fan of using a blanket for this. As I said, you don't have to use props if you don't want to. They just can be helpful for some people. Some people would prefer them or not. So we'll take our left leg up into that pigeon shape. So left leg comes forward somewhere near the wrist. Left foot can scoot up a bit too. Slide that right leg back, and at whatever point you start to feel your edge dialing up, if you're not already on the floor, I recommend sliding a blanket or any props you might be using underneath that left hip. From there, you'll take an inhale breath to extend, an exhale breath to gradually walk your way down and forwards. Now, remembering the number one rule for pigeon and any of these kind of externally rotated hip poses is if you feel anything at all going on in your knee, you're going to want to adjust until you no longer do. If adjusting isn't a great option, you're also welcome to lie on your back and take a figure 4 with your left ankle crossed over. If everything feels okay here, let yourself settle. Let yourself relax. No place specific that we're trying to get to. No real objective other than to just be right here. Notice what it feels like for you to do just that, to be right here. What can you still let go of? Settle for your final few breaths here in this shape. And take one more complete breath right here. Carefully start to find your way up and out of the pose. I generally like to move a little bit to release, kind of kick it out. You're welcome to do just that, or any movements that call to you. We'll do second side in just a few seconds, but take a very short pause just to let the body settle and, of course, feel the contrast between your two sides. From here, when you're ready to, we'll do second half. So from a tabletop here, we'll take the right knee forward, right shin a bit forwards, and don't worry so much about the angle of the placement or anything. There's no technically correct alignment, as long as it feels safe and right for your body. I like a blanket, so that can be a nice option to slide under the hip, but not required if you feel comfortable right where you are. With that set up here, you'll take an inhale to extend. Use your exhale to walk down and forwards. Now that you're down and forwards, close the eyes and let yourself be still here. As long as there's no sensation in the knee, as long as things aren't intense in any way, we can be with this. And as you are with this, asking what you can let go of. The tension wanders, we can always bring it back to the body, back to this moment. And as we come back to this moment, we can always notice what is here. We can always receive that experience as it is. Final few moments here. Be here through that time. Please take just one more complete breath where you are. Slowly come up and away from the floor. And again, on your way out, you might consider moving a bit. You might consider releasing a bit. Anything at all that feels good. Having taken that little bit of movement, let's now make our way all the way onto our backs. So on your back, you might gently hug the knees into the chest, just kind of landing here, feeling that out for a few seconds. And before we take final Shavasana, we have time for just a brief pair of twists. So with knees hugged in, let's take the knees over to the right-hand side. I'm sorry, I forgot to adjust my mic. Take your knees over to the right-hand side. You can open your left shoulder somewhere alongside you and just take a few breaths here. Really brief wringing out of things. Slowly wind the knees into the middle, adjusting as may be needed, and then taking the knees over to the left-hand side, opening your right shoulder somewhere on the floor alongside you. Feel a few breaths through the ribs, through the waist, but still being very still, still being very calm and receptive here. Slowly wind yourself into the middle. If you'd like to move and release one last bit, here's your chance to do so. And then from there, take your time and extend the legs long onto the floor. Set yourself up for a final Shavasana, final rest. Closing the eyes. And so even in a yin practice, which is very passive in general, final Shavasana is still just as important, and maybe important in its own kind of unique way. So just because the poses were passive, just because we were relaxing the body, doesn't mean that the work we're doing wasn't really deep, wasn't really powerful for the body and mind. So by being quiet, by being still for just these last few minutes, we give the body and mind a chance to naturally absorb that, to naturally find their way into a place of balance. So once you feel nice and settled here, let's take gentle inhale breath through the nose. Open up your mouth to exhale and let that out. Be nice and quiet, nice and still here for these next few minutes, giving the body and mind the chance they need to integrate that deep work that we just did. So you can take just a few more moments as you are here on your back to tune in and just notice what effects that brief stillness may have had on both the body and the mind. From there, on your own terms, as you're ready to, start to find some movements and let those movements take you onto your side. And from your side, up into a comfortable seat with closed eyes. So here, just briefly, notice all the effects practice has had on body and mind. Take that all in for just a few more moments. From here, we'll end officially with a short offering of metta, loving kindness. So I'll say just a few words, and if the meaning of these words creates a connection for you, consider repeating the words internally to deepen that connection for yourself. And join hands in front of the heart. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease and freedom from suffering. And may we dedicate our practice for the benefit of all beings. We bow. So thank you so very much for joining me for that Yin Yoga practice. If you have any thoughts or questions, you can let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give me a like and subscribe to my channel because I'll be coming out with more yoga classes like this every single week. Finally, have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you back here soon.